49er faithful, welcome to the Instant Reaction Podcast. We're going to do something different this week. The Niner Station is here Sunday night. Welcome back, Ryan and Mark, and everyone for listening. 49ers just come off a 30-13 win against the New England Patriots. I think that we all thought this was going to be a win, and we saw what we wanted to see, but we need to talk about actually what happened. Brock Purdy had a hell of a game. Nick Bosa, hell of a game. Fred Warner, hell of a game, but he got hurt. There's a lot to talk about, but I wanted to introduce this podcast as something a little bit different. From now on, we're going to be trying to do an instant reaction and then a pregame preview. So today we're going to hopefully only focus. We're going to do our best. We're going to obviously end up talking about next week in the future. But how about this Sunday? What a Sunday of football. 49ers getting a win. We needed this so bad. And here we are. Sunday night. It is a little bit late that we're recording. It's after 10, but just wanted to check in with all of our fans and see how everyone's doing. Ryan and Mark, how was your Sunday, and what are your thoughts on the Niners win against the Patriots?
Tommy, Mark, we're doing good. We're feeling really good on a Sunday night following a 49er victory. It's a completely different feeling than how we felt last week, and we, like you said, we really needed this win. And it wasn't the prettiest of wins. It was one of those clunker kind of games, but it's one of those games that you just need to win. And it brings us to 500, and we have a fresh slate in front of us. So vibes are good, and let's get into this conversation and break down this game.
What's up, guys? I'm excited to do this kind of a post-game reaction. This is our first Sunday night that we get to go to bed with a victory in mind and wake up on Monday for a Monday victory, right? Our first win was against the Jets on a Monday night. So the first Sunday that we get to experience a 49er victory, and it was definitely well needed win game. And if they would have lost this game, there would have been a lot of questions going forward in the season. Some things that I saw in this game that still be paused for the rest of the year and question marks, but it was a nice win. Like you said, Tommy, Brock Purdy had a hell of a game. Fred Warner, again, made a statement. Everyone says he could be the defensive MVP right now, but I think he's honestly making for the MVP overall. Obviously, that's not going to happen. I don't know the last time a defensive player has won the MVP. But Fred Warner, I would like to start the conversation in this post-game reaction with that. Fred Warner is the best football player in the National Football League this year, I think. What are your guys' takes on that?
I texted you guys as soon as he made that play, the interception. I said, as someone that played linebacker, as someone that understands the defensive scheme and what we're trying to do, what he did there was absolutely textbook perfect. He showed up on the line of scrimmage, showed blitz. So we're simulating pressure because we can get pressure. Throughout the game, we did get pressure. Nick Bosa had a hell of a game. But what you need to do is simulate that pressure, right? So you bring the linebackers up to the line, and then you drop one or two of them back into coverage, one blitzes. Or you do the same thing with the safeties. But either way, Fred comes up to the line, he steps up, he drops back. Next thing you know, he's sitting in coverage, jumps up, makes a pick, runs it 44 yards, 45 yards for the touchdown. They reviewed it. It's good. Everyone's going crazy. But what I saw in that play was I was like, man, this was just so perfect. I texted you guys immediately and I said, what a fucking play. I was like, this was exactly what you hope your players that you're paying for to do. A lot of our players that we're paying for aren't living up to their contract value. Fred Warner, 100% today, crushed it. Now, he did not play in the second half. He had that injury that was, I don't know how serious it is. The fact that he was just kind of chilling on the line made me think that the Niners said it was an injury, but we're not going to force you to come out and help us beat the Patriots. We can do it without you. And what I saw was perfect linebacker play from Fred Warner, and wow, that was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, and you texted all that, Tommy, and my response back to that was all caps, all pro Fred. This guy's every single week, I feel like we talk about him and he makes these crazy, insane plays, saves us, and he keeps getting better. It impresses us each and every week. And Mark, I really hope that he could be the exception this year and be the MVP. I'm just happy that he's in our team, and he certainly had a fun highlight to watch today.
Yeah, I just love watching Fred Warner play, regardless of the outcome of the game. The last 2 weeks, even when we lost the games that we should have won, Fred Warner was a guy that stood out on the field as the best player on the field. And so that I just want to start the conversation with him because he deserves that based on the way he's playing this year and the effort he's putting out there. Aspect of this game that I kind of took notice of is Brock Purdy. Again, this guy has shown up this year and just put up stats. He's played poise. He's using his legs a lot more this year. You can tell that was an emphasis in the offseason. I think he even said it, like he wants to work on his mobility. And you can tell he's really moving around the pocket. He understands the offense. He knows where guys are going to be. The guys that were at camp, number 11 not included. The guys that were at camp understand when he scrambles where they need to get to. And you can just tell Brock Purdy has taken his game to another level. And I was texting my dad and talking to my dad during the game. If he continues playing this way, like, he's not a $40 million quarterback. He's not a $50 million quarterback. He's a $60 million quarterback. He is proving his value as a top quarterback in this league. And I just love watching Brock Purdy execute this offense with a full offseason. You can tell he's really coming into his own, and enjoyed Brock Purdy's game today and just how he commanded the offense. What do you guys think about his performance?
As a former quarterback, I knew you would say that. And one thing that, as someone that played defense back in my, obviously, high school days, I didn't play in college, but one thing I saw was this guy owns the offense. And it's almost to the point where he's scrambling like Russell Wilson used to when Russell kicked our ass. He's throwing dimes like any other top quarterback in the NFL world.
That
and then
pass
when
to
you
Kittle,
break down the stats,
dime.
the pass to Kittle, first of all, triple coverage. Brock Purdy says, fuck that. I'm going to toss it right over all three of you. I mean, the confidence that Brock Purdy has, the swagger, Big Cock Brock, that nickname, I mean, mentioned it before, it was kind of a joke. Now it's in reality. And if you actually break down the stats, I think I told you guys this. Through the first 25 games, Brock Purdy's passer rating, I think, is 112.6. The next closest quarterback in the NFL history is Patrick Mahomes at 112.5. And then it drops off to like Dan Marino or someone at 108. I mean, we're talking about a guy that is doing something in the NFL that has never been done. First 25 games, he is the best quarterback. Statistically, I mean, there is a rating for passing for a reason, right? The NFL wants to assign numbers and statistical value. Well, Brock is winning in every single category. But if you're just watching the game as a fan, what I see is a guy that just owns the offense. Last week, he scrambled for 77 yards and still completed a pass. I mean, we're talking about a player the Niners have never had. And you're absolutely right. He is not a $40 million quarterback, $50 million quarterback. He's like a $65 million a year quarterback. How are we going to squeeze that in next year? I have no clue. But if his agent wants to pressure the Niners are going to come up with fucking money somehow. Because this guy can play football. He leads the team. He does everything you want in a quarterback. He's the perfect example. One, he has, first of all, he's not making more than $900,000 a year this year. He's the lowest paid person, and we're getting the best value. Does that make up for all of our, what do we have, $110 million on IR? We have some crazy amount
Something
of
around
IR
that, yes.
money. Brock Purdy kind of alleviates that. And he's also extremely fun to watch because he extends plays. It's something we haven't seen. We had Jimmy Garoppolo. I love Jimmy G. He was a great quarterback. He had the quickest release. He did all his things. He can read the fucking defense. But guess what? Couldn't read linebackers like Brock Purdy. Couldn't scramble like Brock Purdy. And what was crazy today was, as a betting person, I won a couple of parlays because Brock Purdy's initial rushing yards was 5.5 over. Are you serious? 5.5 yards for Brock Purdy? Dude gets that on one scramble. So I won a couple $100 today, so we're just going to keep that quiet. But it was a nice day on top of the win to see Brock Purdy scramble and do his thing and play the position like it needs to be played. I mean, that's what we've been looking for a franchise quarterback. That's what we wanted in a first-round pick for Trey Lance. We wanted a quarterback that could extend plays and rush. Guess what? We might have got him as Mr. Irrelevant, and I hate to say this, but if you were to say, is Brock Purdy as Mr. Irrelevant worth drafting Trey Lance for 3 first rounds? So is Brock Purdy worth 3 first round picks? I would say yes. I mean, yes, we could have gotten Micah Parsons. Yes, we could have gotten other defensive players. Yes, we could have done this over the next couple years. But the fact that we came out of that draft with Brock Purdy has actually made up for the fact that we fucked up on Trey Lance.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I think that's why if Brock Purdy continues to play like this and plays at this rate, that he's going to be compensated to be a quarterback that can be a game changer like that. That can be a franchise quarterback that could turn a franchise around and win a Super Bowl. And that's what we are seeing in him now. That's what we hope of him. And that's what we expect him to do. It's just been really awesome to see Brock just handle this season where he is now, because heading into the season, the big conversation was, is Brock going to live up to this future contract that the Niners are going to pay him? Is he going to earn it? And he certainly is at this point. And not only that, like you guys said, he's owning the offense. And I'm not sure if you guys feel this way, but I kind of feel like the offense is transforming a little bit right in front of our eyes. In past years, Yak was a big thing with our receivers. And now you see Purdy just throwing bombs down the field. Like there was long passes, Juwan Jennings, 45 yards. Deebo Samuel, 53. Ayuk, 38 yards. Like those are deep balls down the field. And I feel like that's an element that Brock's really bringing out, and it's really fun to watch. And we're seeing the offense really transform. And last week we even talked about, like, is this going to be what the Niners are going to look like in the years moving forward? You know, is this what the new look for Niners is going to be? So I like that it's changing, but it's changing for good. And Brock's the reason that this is all happening. So it's just fun to have a quarterback like Brock. He does all the right things. It was fun seeing him today just scramble and make plays out there. So Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. Let's see what he can do, but he's our quarterback for the future for sure.
Ryan, you're 100% correct. Like, we've never seen a quarterback in the Shanahan system with the 49ers push the ball down the field the way Brock Purdy has the last couple of weeks. He is taking shots down the field, and it's really fun to watch as a Niner fan. Every time Jimmy G would throw the ball down the field, I don't know about you guys, but I would like, okay, ball goes out of the camera, it's going to get picked. Oh, please get picked. And it's just one of those things, right?
Like cringe.
You cringe. Every time Garoppolo would throw it more than 10 yards down the field, you cringe. When Purdy throws the ball down the field, you're just like, okay, something big's going to happen. And Juwan Jennings, that catch he made on that bomb was amazing. The guy is just ridiculous. I sent you guys a snapshot today. Like, our leading passer, our leading rusher, and our leading receiver are a 7th-round pick, an undrafted running back, and a 7th-round pick. Like, we're getting production, but this offense is looking a lot like the Falcons offense with Shanahan when he had Matt Ryan, Roddy White, I think, Julio Jones.
Julio,
yeah, he had Julio, and they're pushing the ball down the field, and it's really fun to watch. And it just kind of makes you wonder what is going to look like when McCaffrey gets back. There's good reports about him possibly not being back by early November. But this offense is clicking. Jordan Mason, again, today had another good game, 120 yards rushing on, I think, 24 carries, something like that. Was able to really dominate in the running game. I did not like in the game, it was a win, seeing Deebo Samuel in the backfield so much, opening up with 2 pitch plays. And it's like, this guy's coming off an injury, Shanahan. What are you doing? Let Jordan Mason run the ball. Or if you're going to pitch the ball, let Isaac Guerrero get a pitch. But that was something I didn't like. But the offense is definitely more explosive since Purdy has kind of taken control of this offense this offseason and to start the year. I'm really excited that Pearsall is going to come back. So I think you're right. There might be a new era of the San Francisco 49ers offense, what we're used to the past few years, and it's exciting to watch. Takeaway I had from this game, see what you guys think about this, is we need to get our rookies in the game, defensive side of the ball. I saw D. Winters get in when Fred Warner came out and immediately make an impact. Flying around, his speed, showing his just intuitive understanding of what to do as a defensive player. Way better than Devondre Campbell, in my opinion. And then also, Renardo Green got some reps in the second half. Adam, he also showed the ability to play some coverage and make an impact on the defensive side of the ball. So I'm curious to see what you guys think about the defensive side of the ball in this game, the need for our rookies to be able to get some action on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, on defense, unfortunately, I think Fred Warner had like an ankle issue, and they didn't want to risk it, so they took him out of the game. My thoughts were immediately, okay, cool, D. Winters is playing, but we put in Flanagan Fowles first. Flanagan Fowles did okay, but again, I fully agree. I think we need to get the youth in because they're good. I mean, we're not fucking around when we draft these players. You got guys like D. Winters, just like you said. He flies to the ball. He's always there. He's always around the tackle, whether it's a play on his side of the field or the opposite side of the field or in the backfield. D. Winters can fly and do it.
He's like a young Greenlaw.
Greenlaw,
yeah.
Exactly. He plays like Greenlaw. He has a nose for the football. But we're still letting people like Campbell play, and that kind of bothers me. I did see Bethune get on the field. That gave me hope because I was thinking, okay, well, maybe we actually might be going the rookie direction. If Bethune's on the field and Winters is on the field, okay, we got a chance here. But I don't really like when the Niners still let Campbell stay in the game and he's not making plays. Have you guys seen Campbell make one play? Yes or no?
Nothing that I can remember. I've seen him get burnt
You've
on a
been
lot
at
of pass
games?
plays.
We've seen him be on the bad end of a replay where he makes a PI or he does nothing. And for whatever fucking reason, we're paying that guy like 10, 12 million a year to be on our team to do nothing. Because what? He's played in the NFL for 10 years. At that point, let's bring back, Kwan Alexander. I mean, let's bring back a player that is good if we're going to trust a veteran to do something. But for whatever reason, the person they landed on was Campbell. I can't stand Campbell on defense. I'm just going to put that out there. As a person that cares a shit ton about the Niners defense, because that's the only side of the game that I can actually relate to, he's done nothing. But why do we keep giving this guy snaps? It's the same thing with Isaac Yiadom. Like, he's terrible at corner. So why isn't Renardo Green getting every single rep? Like, I mean, we went through this before with Ambry Thomas. We went through this before with Diamador Lenore. We let them play, and look at Diamador Lenore now. Diamador Lenore is actually in, like, the conversation for, like, an all-pro corner.
I would argue he's our best cornerback this year over Charvarius Ward.
I think he's playing way better than Ward. That might be due to Ward going against the ones and him going against the twos, but we don't chase people. So, depending on the formation, now they line up and where we are in the field, Lenore hasn't missed a single beat. I mean, that guy, hate to say it, but he's kind of playing like all-pro Fred at the corner position. I mean, it's kind of early to say. We're only 4 games in, but I don't think we're going to be able to afford a player like Lenore unless we drop some of these veteran guys that are making $10 million for no reason. We'll see how that turns out in the offseason, but man, yeah, I mean, I would love to see way more Renardo Green And I would love to, Jair Brown actually got in the game and started making plays because Hufanga was out today. Our DB room, like we've talked about it on the Niner Station multiple times, we thought was deep enough. But here we are 4 weeks in, and it's kind of looking like we've already weeded out who sucked. Isaac Yadam, you're terrible. We need to get that guy off the field. If we go into week 5 against the Cardinals with Isaac Yadam playing again, I'm going to be a little upset because there's nothing that has happened in the first 4 weeks at a 2-2. If we were the top defense in the NFL and Isaac Yadam was our corner, then yeah, let's keep him. But we're not the top defense in the NFL. In fact, actually, this is the first year, like the broadcast pointed out, in multiple categories against rushing, we were like first, 30th against like quarterback scramble passes, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. This year, for whatever reason, we're giving veterans much more leeway than we should. And against a better team, we're not going to win 30-13. That's my thing is like we beat a bad team because we should have beat a bad team. I actually do think that the score should have been higher. And I don't think that the Patriots should have been able to put up 13 points against us. That's kind of my read, right? I mean, like, my thought is like, yeah, Mark, you're absolutely right. I'd love to see more rookies. But if I'm looking at the game, I think it should have been more of like 40 or 50 points on the Niners and like 3 or 6, like 2, or like only field goals, like 9 points from the Patriots. They shouldn't have even gotten to 13. So it's kind of a weird thing. Like, I mean, I don't know, Ryan, what do you think about the defense? Like, I don't think we're really doing our job.
Yeah, when you guys mentioned the decision to want to stick with the veterans, despite them, this is week 4 now, and we have 4 weeks, and we see guys like Yadam consistently just getting burnt. It makes you wonder, like, does that come down to coaching? And it makes me wonder, is defensive coordinator, first year, Nick Sorensen, I wonder if early on in the year, if he just maybe feels more comfortable as a first-time coordinator, trusting in the veterans, because, and trust me, I'm all about the young fellas, the young rookies getting playing time and getting the reps, especially on defense. But you see some guys like Malik Mustafa who did pretty bad, or he did all right, but pretty bad today. And he was quick to get to the ball, but he couldn't, he missed a lot of tackles. And I'm wondering if things like that are what's giving Nick Sorensen, second guessing himself when it comes to wanting to play these young rookies and sticking with these veterans. But I think as time goes on, it's becoming more and more evident that, hey, we have some playmakers and we need to get them their reps too. And even like in Mustafa's case, hey, he made some mistakes, but at least we got it on tape and we could, correct them and move on and just get better from it. So at least we have that. But I'm wondering if he's going to make those adjustments moving forward, because the truth of the matter is, in an ideal situation with all of our starters being healthy, Dre Greenlaw, Hufanga, even Fred Warner, any person, all starters on the defense, if they were healthy, sure. But right now, we're kind of having a lot of injuries. So why not have the young guys step up and see what they can do?
You draft them for a reason. And the thing is, like, I was listening to Kruger, a little pregame, and he said almost like they want to like prove that the free agent signings were signings. But it's like, hey, if you replace a free agent signing with a draft pick, that also means that you drafted well. So like, it's not a bad thing if your free agent signings are getting beat out by your draft picks. And then just kind of add some veteran depth, which is not bad. Again, the rookies, I think, on the defensive end, or not even rookies, just the younger guys, like we said, like D. Winters, he's not a rookie, second year guy, but I just think he would be a better option for us at linebacker besides Devondre Campbell. Bernardo Green, I think, would be a better option. Yadam's getting torched all year. He's getting torched. So why not try a young guy that has a little like charisma? He's got a national championship under his belt, or not an undefeated season, not a national championship, but like just got a little like swagger to himself and a little speed and just some youth and athleticism to it. So that's just something that I look at from this game that was a little bit just annoying to me. Again, it was a game that we definitely should have won, and we won outright. But without Fred Warner, it's a 23-13 game, and the Patriots cover the spread. So it's not a game that we totally dominated. And this has nothing to do with the Niners, but something that really irritated me during the game, and I was calling my dad back and forth like it seemed like every 5 minutes. The penalties, something about this team. I don't know. I don't know. Like when you watch the Chiefs, right? The whole thing is like you see the memes all over the internet and social media where the refs are wearing the red stripes because they're the Chiefs, and they always got the Chiefs backs. For some reason, the Niners just can't get a call. Like the pass interference on Diarmado Lenore, that terrible call. The holding call on
Yeah.
George Kittle, terrible. We scored 3 touchdowns on one drive because of terrible calls. Like I don't understand what it is. Is it Kyle Shanahan like disrespecting the refs pregame? Is it just a league memo going out against the 49ers? Or what is going on with the referees and the calls against the 49ers? Because this is not the only game that has happened. And the game started getting a little bit of a blowout. I was switching back and forth between the Chiefs game. Chiefs they actually called a holding call against the Chiefs tackle. And I was like, where was that in the Super Bowl last year? Like, we're actually going to call holdings against the Chiefs now? So I'm like, what is going on with the Niners and the calls? And it might be a homer thing. I don't know. But to me, it feels like the Niners get the worst calls when it comes to refs, whether it's non-calls on holdings against our defensive line or the holding against Kittle or the pass interference. The refereeing against the 49ers has kind of been ridiculous, and this game has stood out. It was like almost like they were trying to help the Patriots cover the spread.
Yeah, put on your tinfoil hats, fans of the Niner Station, but I fully agree with Mark here. I feel like there's a little bit of a conspiracy against the Niners to be successful because it seems like more often than not, now this happened, any Homer fan for their team will say, like, that wasn't a holding, that wasn't a PI, that wasn't whatever, right? Whatever call you want to, whatever you want to sink to. But we have all of the above. We don't get the defensive holding. We don't get the holding against our pass rushers. We just seem to only get flags against us in situations where we really kind of shouldn't. Like people are playing football, and it seems like they're 100% the Chiefs. A team like the Chiefs is the perfect example because if Travis Kelce were to be in the same situation as George Kittle, are they calling that holding? No, they're not going to, because Taylor Swift and all of her fucking Taylor Swifties are going to shit on the Chiefs and the refs and say that it's unfair. But for the Niners, it's just a regular occurrence. And yeah, I don't know what it is. And tinfoil hat on, it might be that they really hate Shanahan. Like you said, Mark, I mean, I hate to say it, but I don't know. I can't come up with another conspiracy because people like George Kittle are loved around the NFL. And then you see him get penalties that he probably shouldn't get. And then same thing for other players in the Niners and other situations like Diarmado Lenore or someone that, like, why are these calls being made? I mean, they're not interfering with the game. It's not a blatant hold or a blatant PI. It's like a little hand fight. And sure, technically, by the rule book, you can be like, okay, that's a penalty. But it's football. If you were to...
That call against Lenore was an offensive pass interference, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Where I'm going with this is, like, if you were to just look at any player on the field, there's holding. Like, you can come up with a call almost on any given play. Like, that's just how football is. All of us have played football. We all know. Like, on any given play, if you really put a microscope on any player, you could find a holding, an offsides, a false start. I mean, there's a lot of things that don't get called. But for the Niners, we get the random penalties that shouldn't be called in a game where we should be blowing them out. It was almost as if the NFL and the refs were trying to keep the Patriots in the game. Like, did you guys feel the same way? Like they were trying to keep the Patriots in the game?
Yeah, when you're watching the game, you're like, what is going on? You see all these flags on the field, and the numbers really don't lie when you look at it. We have 6 penalties compared to their 3, 20 yards that they get from theirs versus our 43 yards from our penalties. And it's just crazy. I'd be interested to see if we could go into this rabbit hole a little bit deeper and figure out what's going on here. Because I'd be interested to see, because it seems like this is a weekly occurrence with these referees. Another thing, aside from the refs, at least something that we can control that also unfortunately seems to be a weekly issue this season is special teams. And I don't know what's going on there as well. We're going to need some answers there, because we're not producing, and that's an area, like, if we want to win games, not leave it to the refs, win outright. We can't have mistakes on special teams. We can't be having turnovers and giving the ball right after halftime in great field position. Isaac Garendo. So it's just crazy. Those are momentum killers. And if you want to win, bigger games, especially in the playoffs, those are crucial. And, we need to get that figured out, because we talk about it for weeks now. We're approaching that upcoming stretch of games where it's going to get, pretty thick with some of the, stronger teams in the league. So we need to get our special teams figured out. I'm not sure if you guys took note of that too.
Oh, for sure. As soon as I click over to start the second half, and then bam, right away. We have a decisive lead. We're up 23, and then Isaac Grindle fumbles, the ball, or muffs it, whatever you want to call it, and then bam, right away, touchdown. Now it's a 10-point game, when we should have had the ball with the opportunity to drive, eat some time, a game plan out of halftime, go down, score a touchdown, which we eventually did. You can see the halftime adjustment in our second, I guess our first possession, but after they scored the touchdown, we went right down and answered, where that should have been, we're going up 27-3 right out of halftime, right? We take advantage of getting the ball out of halftime. We're going up 27-3. Now the game's over. It's over. The Patriots are not scoring anything, but the game became a little bit more contested than it needed to be, because once again, special teams makes a mistake. Shanahan, I don't understand. He doesn't value special teams, and I've never seen, in my lifetime as a football fan, a championship coach that doesn't value special teams. Harbaugh, other than Kyle Williams, he had his starter, like Patrick Willis was on special team. Like, he had Navarro Bowman was playing special. He valued special teams. John Harbaugh won a Super Bowl against the Niners, a special teams coach. Bill Belichick loves, I value special teams over the other. You steal a possession in special teams, he thought, and you can win games that way. And all these championship teams, special teams, the Chiefs hired one of the best special teams coaches in the league. And the 49ers, just since Kyle Shanahan has been the coach, have not been able to get it right. And so I don't know what is going on. Does he just not practice it, or is he like, our practice squad, bottom 8 guys are going to be on special teams? Something has to change, because we are not going to win a championship if our special teams does not get figured out. And if that was where it was a little bit closer against a better opponent, it very well could have cost us the game, just like the previous 2 weeks where special teams cost us the game.
Yeah, I mean, you can call it shenanigans. I mean, Kyle Shanahan has neglected special teams his entire time he's been a head coach of the Niners. And it's terrible to watch, because it's a phase of the game. And it's a phase of the game, especially in NFL's day, or today's NFL game, where it matters. So you can't just neglect a phase of the football game, because we're going to play a lot of close games. We don't have that great of a roster. I know everyone thinks we do. They talk about it being the Avengers. They talk about the Niners defense as being top 5 defense. You watch the football game, and all of us can see it. When it comes to special teams, we're not defending kicks well. We're not recovering kicks well. It's just, why? It happens time and time again, and we see the same thing. It's like something that gives all Niner fans anxiety, too. Every time we're returning a kick, all of us have a Kyle Williams anxiety. That's like a thing that's bred into us. But for whatever reason, we continually, time and time again, neglect the ability to step up our game in that phase of football. And as a, Mark, you're a coach. Do you guys practice special teams? The answer is yes, right? I don't even have to actually hear it
We
from you.
have 3 days of practice in youth football, and we spend a whole day on special teams.
I almost want to guarantee the Niners spend 0 time on special teams based off what we've seen. Now, I could be wrong. They might be practicing it, and we just don't see the results. But I think it's safe to say that if we were to be like, hey, key components for the year, key takeaways from last season, key takeaways from the last 5 seasons, if we were to be better on special teams, the end result might be a Super Bowl. The end result might be less losses than first seed. But here we are, again, neglecting special teams, just thinking that the Avengers on offense and Brock Purdy and all this shit is going to carry our team. And that's not okay. I mean, that's just not how you should run an NFL franchise. This is a part of the game. Kick, punts, kick returns, kickoffs. This is a part of the game. Just like if it's defense and you're trying to get a 3 and out, you want to come out of your special team period being on top. And time again, we're losing. If you look at which special teams played better, every single game, we're not playing better than the other team. Why? I think right now, all of us can agree on the Niner Station that the standard for this year is the Super Bowl. And we're not going to get there if we can't follow all 3 phases: offense, defense, special teams. 3 phases of the football game. And for whatever reason, we neglect special teams and we just hope that we can make up for it, is kind of my opinion, right? It kind of feels like Kyle Shanahan just neglects it and goes, that's okay. We got Brock Purdy at quarterback. We'll be okay. Oh, it's okay. We got Fred Warner running our defense. We'll be okay. But that's not the reality. The reality is it's a phase of the game. If we took it seriously like every other team does, because every other team knows that they're fighting an uphill battle. And they know that if we can do better on special teams, we have a chance. We have better field position. We could take advantage of a muff punt. We could take advantage of this and that. When does that go in our favor as a Niner fan? Never. Because we don't actually practice it to the same. I don't think we take it as seriously every other team in the NFL. I could be wrong. We could be spending a full day, but doesn't show on Sunday. So yeah, that's kind of sucks. I mean, it's hard. It's hard as a Homer Niner fan. We're doing our podcast. Obviously, everyone knows at the Niner Station that we're clearly Niner fans. I might be wearing an A's hat, but I'm a bridge hopper. I'm a Niners A's fan. Okay, but we completely neglect special teams, and we've done it for years, and it makes no sense to me because it's a part of the game. It's a phase of the game that we could actually be getting better field position. Moody, as much as I hate Moody because he misses kicks, Moody can probably kick a 57, 58-yard field goal, and you could do that if we had better special team position. But we don't. Instead, we decide to rely on the fact that, oh, it's okay, our offense and defense is great. Why? Why not just be good at all 3 phases? Tell me why we can't be good at all 3 phases. You can't. There's not a single reason. It's simple. These are professional athletes. These are people who play football their whole life. We have the roster for it. Like you said, Mark, if we really wanted to fuck people up on our kick returns or kickoff and our punts, let's put our stars out there and kick ass. For whatever reason, maybe it's the loss of Curtis Robinson going down for the year. Maybe it's the loss of...
That's not it. It was bad before he was gone.
Yeah, I'm just, like I said, there's not really, there's not a good answer for the question of why are we not good at all 3 phases of the game? There's not. It's just, and as a fan, it's hard to watch because you know that every time we get into a special teams aspect of the game, we're at a disadvantage. And we shouldn't be. We have a better roster. So why not be good at all 3 phases? I don't know. That's just a big pet peeve for me and the Niners. I've said it time and time again. Kyle Shanahan doesn't care about special teams, and no one can ever come up with a good argument, and I think both of you agree. It's like the life we live. We just have to suffer with Kyle Shanahan's a genius offensive coach. Okay. But what do we do on special teams? It's like, why can't he be good at special teams? It's not hard to be good at special teams. I was in high school and I was coming up with onside kicks and it worked. Why can't Kyle Shanahan, who's coached his entire life, he has way more football experience, come up with similar special teams like schemes that work? I don't know. Time and time again, we're left with bad field position, muff punts, drop punts. I mean, we don't have anything that is in our favor. When is the last time you can think of that we returned a kick well?
I was going to ask you that question. I don't remember.
I can't even think of one.
I don't remember a punt return or a kick return other than Isaac Rindo in the preseason, but I don't remember a regular season punt return or a kick return.
Minus
touchdown.
Minus Isaac Garendo, was that like a 90-yard return because he's faster and bigger than people?
Preseason, it doesn't matter though.
I mean,
like Ray had a few good returns, but like nothing like to the house or anything.
Why can't we do the same thing that other teams do? Why can't we have a Devin Hester?
Because you don't emphasize it, that's why.
It's because we don't fucking care about special teams. And football is a three-phase game, and people forget about that. It's not offense and defense. It's not quarterbacks and middle linebackers and running backs and receivers. It's who can play the best three phases of the game throughout a 60-minute game. And we don't. We don't play the third phase well. And that's why we're in situations where we only beat the Patriots 30-13. That's why we lose to other teams, and it happens every week. And all of us as fans that are serious football fans understand that, but Kyle Shanahan just doesn't care. And it's terrible to watch. I mean, I don't know what to say, but yeah, I'm at a loss for words, and that's first.
Yeah, no, it's all good. At least, like, hey, like, it is what it is. We got the win this week. At least, like, hey, let's at least end on a good note and say, at least we got the win. The coaches have obviously a lot to figure out on the special team side. Defense and offense, right? It's not a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination today, but we got the win, and that's what we really needed. So hopefully next week, because we do play a divisional opponent, that we do see some changes or some adjustments, because like if it's this bad, the smallest things will make all the difference. So time will tell, 49ers.
Yeah, that's my ultimate takeaway as we end this podcast and come to the end of it. The Niners won a game they should have won. Losing 2 games they should have won. As a Niner fan, that was fun. But like I was sitting on my couch, just kind of like, okay, yeah, we're winning. We should be winning. There was no like emotion coming out of like there was not a time in the game where I was like pumped up. Like usually watching another game, I'm like jumping off the couch when there's a big play. Like even when Fred Warner made the pick, I think that was probably the most excited I got. But other than that, it was like, okay, the Patriots are a team that we should beat by a lot. Like there should never be a point in time where we're losing to this team. And so we got the win. We needed the win, momentum, whatever you want to call it. But it was a game where there's not a lot of emotion for me as a fan. The Niners kind of looked like they were just going through the steps because they knew they were the better team. The Patriots really had no shot with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. It was a business day that they took care of business. Not as pretty as it could have looked, but went on to the Cardinals, and I think later week we're going to have a lot of talk about that game because that's going to be a game that I'm very nervous about, and I will be showing a lot more emotion about that game as opposed to this past game because what Kyler Murray can do against us. But I'll save that for the next podcast.
And well, as we are going into the end of this podcast, right, where we are playing the Cardinals, so stay tuned later in the week. In a few days, we will be doing our podcast on the Cardinals versus the Niners, Sunday, October 6th at 1:05. But absolutely, you guys are correct. This was kind of a game where obviously we should have won. The refs tried to do their best to keep it closer than it should have, but Nick Bosa against a poor offensive line against Brissett had a hell of a game. And can he do that against Kyler Murray? Can we continue this momentum, actually, is really my only thought. Can we continue the momentum against a team? Now, the Cardinals are coming off a loss. We're coming off a win. We'll see how it goes. But Thank you again. If you've listened this long to our podcast, please like and subscribe to the Niner Station if you have not already. And once again, guys, bang, bang.
Niner gang.
Niner gang.